Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and the Kern High School District. With additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
I'm Cindy.
I'm Dereck. For math homework, help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Everywhere else, call 1-866-636-6284. The email is dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemath.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, nicely done, Dereck. Thank you for doing that. So where do you attend school and what grade are you in?
I go to Hart Elementary and I'm in 6th grade.
All right, so you go to Hart, so you're a hawk. Have you been at Hart for a long time?
Yeah,
How long have you been there? Since kindergarten or after that?
since kindergarten.
Since kindergarten. So you've been there for a long time. You're pretty used to the place then, right?
Yeah.
What do you think will be one thing you miss next year because you'll be at junior high school? What's one thing you think you'll miss about being at Hart since you've been there for 7 years now?
Definitely the staff.
The staff?
Yeah.
Oh, good. You know what? I'm sure that they appreciate hearing that because a lot of times the staff doesn't hear things like that. You know who I really appreciate at our school? The secretaries, the custodians, and the cafeteria workers, and the people like that. Because they make sure everything is going smoothly for everybody, right?
Yeah.
All right. You having a good 6th grade year?
Yeah.
All right, good. Do you guys go to Camp Keep? Do you know? Do you go? Do you know if you even go there?
Yeah, I think we're going to be going in March.
Oh, good. So it should be nice over there. Have you guys started studying about that stuff yet, or
No, not yet.
Not yet? Well, I'm sure when you get back in January, you're probably going to start talking about Camp Keep a little bit more. So you excited about that? Mm-hmm. That'd be fun going over there, right? Hang out for a week, do some camping, do some walking, learn about nature, and go down to the ocean and stuff like that? That'd be cool. What kind of stuff are you doing in math for 6th grade right now? Like, what did you do in math today? I'm sure you did some math today, right? Or no?
Not really, no.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, there we go. All right. Well, it's a short day. Maybe you guys were doing something else. I don't know. What have you done this week for math?
Work with decimals.
Okay, good. Because it seems like we have a lot of students working with decimals right now, which is a good thing. You feel comfortable with decimals?
Yeah.
All right, good. So we're going to do a little bit of that later on. But first, I need you to help me with today's social media problem of the day. Can you do that? Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a look at it right now. So here it says, what is the measurement of angle DFE? So first of all, when you look at that, what are you thinking of and what comes to mind when you see that problem up there?
Well, I see all the answers. I see that there's a right angle, and I see that there's a 30%, and that the angle altogether equals 180 degrees.
All right. Now, you gave me a lot of information there. You said that you saw there's a right angle. Where's the right angle? How do you know there's a right angle up there?
Well, in between D and C, you can see a square,
Okay.
which represents 90 degrees, or
Good.
right angle.
Perfect. So that's a 90 degree, which is a right angle, right? And then you said there was a 30 also, right? Where's that 30 degrees at?
In between B and C.
Right. So that's angle CFB. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So that degree is 30. So do you know what kind of angle that is, what they call that angle?
Acute.
Perfect, right? I was going to put you on the spot right there. You did well with that. So that's an acute angle. So we have an acute angle, we have a right angle, because obviously the one in the middle is 90 degrees, right? And you said the whole thing adds up to 180. So what do you mean the whole thing?
So angle BFE equals 180 degrees.
Perfect. And how, so do you know that? How do you know that it's 180 though?
Well, because saying that there's an imaginary circle there, it would cut it right in half.
Perfect. And you know that there are 360 degrees in a circle.
Yeah.
And that would cut it right in half. That's a straight line. That's a straight angle, right? So that's 180 degrees.
Yeah.
All right. So you're saying that with the 30 and the 90, what is the one missing? So what is the measurement of DFE?
Well, adding 90 degrees to 30 degrees, you get 120 degrees. minus the 180 degrees, you would get around 60 degrees.
So would we get around it or would we get it?
Get it.
You'd get it. All right.
Yeah.
So out of all of those options that are up there, you think D is the best one?
Yeah.
You willing to go with that one? All right, let's take a look and see if D is indeed the correct answer. There you go. Nicely done, Dereck. You know what? I bet they put up their D for that because your name is Dereck. What do you think? Do you think they did that? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was done a long time ago anyway. But nicely done on that first problem. Have you ever been to the holiday lights at COM?
No.
No, you haven't?
I've been
To COM?
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, you know what? If you call in today, between now and 5:30, so within the next 45, 50 minutes or whatever, if somebody phones in and we do one of their math problems on TV, they're automatically going to get themselves a pass to Holiday Lights at COM. And we can see some of the footage there right now. And so if you happen to get an opportunity to go sometime, Dereck, this is what you're in for. And you can see they have a lot of different themes. And the entire zoo is covered in lights, millions and millions and millions of lights, actually one of the top 10 in the country. Now that's not one of the top 10 in Bakersfield or California. It's one of the top 10 in the entire United States of America. And it's right here in our backyard. All right, so there's a train ride, there's some crafts and things you can do like that. A couple of different tunnels when you can walk through, when you drive through as you go into COM. And you meet old Santa Claus himself right there. So an aerial shot of the entire zoo out there. So who knows, you might be able to go out there sometime this year. But they are open until December 30th. So if you are viewing and you want to head out sometime, by all means, you have until then. 636-4357 is that phone number. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Time now for today's Math in the News. All right, today's Math in the News. We are fortunate enough, just speaking about COM, to have a couple of folks from COM. We have Liz and Mindy. How are you ladies today?
Good. How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. Thanks for coming in because I know this is a very busy time of year, especially with the lights going on, the zoo's open later and things like that. But Liz, tell us about your role with COM and how you stepped into that role.
My role is the volunteer and community engagement facilitator for COM. So I do this, I get out there and try to talk about COM and all the wonderful things that we do out there. I'm also in part of the volunteer program and getting volunteers to come out because a lot of our stuff that we do out there is heavily relied on volunteers, including our holiday lights. We do need a lot of volunteers.
I was going to say, because we have talked about that.
Yes.
We need volunteers at Holiday Lights at COM, and you will take people that are 16 and above.
Yes, 16 and above. And I do, if there's 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds, I will allow that as long as the parent is along with them. Okay. I don't want them by themselves. But definitely 16 or above, so if you're looking for hours, community service hours for your school, can definitely get a bunch at Holiday Lights.
It's a great way to do it. I mean, you're out there helping people, but you're in a great atmosphere,
Absolutely.
With Holiday Lights at COM and stuff like that.
Lots to look at.
And how did you get to work at COM? Because some students might be going, well, that sounds kind of fun, but how do I get into something like that?
I would recommend starting as a volunteer, getting
Okay.
your foot in the door. That way we get to know you and make sure that it's a good fit for everybody. And then you can decide, this is exactly kind of what I want to do, or not so much for me. There's a lot of poop picking up, Mindy? So there's lots of different aspects that you can volunteer with at COM. Our grounds cleanup, our animal keepers, our guest services, lots of different areas. So depending on which facet you want to follow, reach out to me and I'll tell you all the things.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So Mindy, you're here and you have kind of a different role with the museum.
Yes, I am actually one of the animal keepers. As she says, I'm the one who's picking up the poop.
So how did you get into, so when you were young, did you something like that, you wanted to always be working with animals
Yes,
somewhat?
I've always wanted to work with animals. I actually went to school thinking about going into veterinary medicine.
Okay.
It didn't pan out for me, but I always still wanted to work with animals. And about 5, maybe 6 years ago now, there was what we call a substitute position open at COM. I had animal experience, but I didn't have zoo experience. So I was able to start working there as a sub, get some experience with the exotic animals, and when some new positions opened up, I was able to kind of interview for those positions and move into a full-time position.
Yeah, and so let's talk a little bit about what COM is specifically, because it's not just a zoo.
Yes.
It's a rehab.
It is a
for
rehabilitation.
animals, and tell us a little bit about the difference there.
Okay, it is definitely a rehab facility. We bring in, or people bring us animals that are injured, maybe orphaned. They can't necessarily be released back to the wild. So a lot of the animals we have in our collection that you come to see are animals that for whatever reason can't go back out into the wild. Either they won't be able to survive, or maybe they become too used to human interaction and they might venture into the suburbs or cities where they can get hurt because people are scared of them. So we do our best in our rehabs to be able to get them back to where they came from, but there are some animals that are just not going to survive out there on their own.
And I'd say this is a little different than a zoo also, because the zoo knows, all right, these are the animals we have, and if we're, down a giraffe, we know we have to get a giraffe if we can, or something like that. You are readily available to take whatever type of animal, for the most part,
within reason,
to come into COM and be able to try to rehab that animal. So you're more of a, let's say, open to working with different animals instead of a specific area.
Yeah, we are strictly California natives though.
Okay.
So we can't take your pet parrot or something like that. It's just native wildlife that we bring in.
Now, speaking of native, and it's got to be California, you've got a California king snake with you today.
Yes, I do.
So tell us all about the snake.
So this is Severus, and he is a California king snake. So as the name suggests, he is native to California. But king snakes, they do have several different subspecies. They're the most common type of snake in North America. So we have like the eastern king snakes, speckled king snakes, black king snakes.
Are they all marked the same like this?
Not necessarily. That's how the different subspecies are differentiated. They do have different markings. They are usually banded in some form like this. Even the California king snakes, they're normally the black and kind of whitish yellow as you see here, but their markings will be different. So we do have one at the zoo that his markings actually run along the length of his body instead of around his body.
Okay.
And we also have a California mountain king snake, which is another variation of the California king snake, and they have red. So they have the black, the white, and the red.
Red in the eyes?
No.
I'm only kidding.
No, but banding, just like this guy, he'll have the red in between. So.
Okay. And do you have an idea on how old the snake is right now?
I do. He's actually about 10 years old now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the life expectancy of a California king snake?
10 to 20 years is about the average. They could probably go a little bit longer in captivity when they do have better care, supply of food. They don't have to go look, they don't have to hunt for their prey.
How close is this snake to being released?
He is not going to be released.
Okay.
A lot of our collection snakes don't come through our rehab program because usually we can rehabilitate them and release them with no issues. So most of our collection snakes are like a private donation. So he was most likely raised more for a pet trade. And I don't know exactly where he came from. It just says a private donor.
Okay. And what would the snake eat typically? What do you feed it?
Well, we feed mice at the zoo, but in the wild they eat small rodents like mice, lizards, maybe small birds. They might even be opportunistic with eggs if they come across them.
Okay.
What's interesting about king snakes and where they get their name is that they will actually eat other snakes. And they have a quality in their blood, a lot of people don't realize this, but they are resistant to rattlesnake venom. So these are one of the only snakes that could actually eat a rattlesnake because the rattlesnake has no effect on them.
So, and I'm just guessing here, venomous snakes, constrictors, and are there others, or is it those two and you're going to fall into one of those two categories?
It's generally that kind of, those two categories. Some of them, these guys, like he's a constrictor, so as you can see, he's kind of wrapping around me. So when they catch their prey, they do squeeze them and then eat them. Then there are the venomous that paralyze their prey usually, and then they don't have to worry about
Now, so they'll constrict it. So the snake is pretty cat quick when the prey gets in there, right? Because they want to get it, constrict it, and then eat it. But they can move pretty quickly.
Oh yes, definitely. Usually most snakes have a striking range of at least half their body length. So king snakes get about 2 to 4 feet long.
Well, he's pretty
adult
much
size.
there now.
Pretty good size.
A lot of people, as long as you stay maybe at least half his length away from him, he can't strike and get you. But if you're close enough, then yeah, he's pretty quick.
That's about halfway right there, right? Okay, I'm only kidding. So one more thing. I mean, I could talk to you a long time about this. When snakes shed, which is a natural thing, how often and is it possible to get a whole length?
How often is going to vary on how old they are. If they're growing, they're going to shed quite often. Some snakes might not shed more than once or twice a year, the big, larger snakes. Most of the time they do shed in one whole piece unless they're having some kind of health issue or there's problems with their husbandry. They do need to have the humidity to help get the skin off. But most of the time, if they're healthy and in good habitat, they'll shed the whole piece, eye caps and all. So you
Okay.
could find like pretty much a whole
Well, I was
snake.
going to say, because there's been times when I've brought stuff into the classroom, parts of a shed, and you know, it's interesting looking at it under microscopes, especially,
yeah.
and to see those different things. And so Severus, that is the name, right?
Yes.
Severus, is one of the many snakes you have out of COM.
Yes.
And COM is open during the day, even
Yes,
though we
it's-
talk a lot about holiday lights at COM right now, which is going on through the end of the month. But people can go out and check out Severus as well as
Yes.
some of the many other animals. All right, ladies, thank you very much for
Thank
coming in
you.
today.
Thank you.
you.
Thank
And
you
that
so much.
is today's Math in the News. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. Just a programming note, today is December 13th, and December 13th is the final day of live broadcasting for Do the Math until we come back in 2024. In studio, we have Dereck, a 6th grade student from Hart Elementary. He's been a hawk, which I believe would be a bird of prey on a snake or something like that, probably, right? Good thing we don't have a live hawk roaming around here right now. So you're going to be, you are comfortable working with equations, correct?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give you an option. You have no idea what equations these are, but there are 5 of them. So you may select a number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
I go 3.
You'll go 3. Excellent. Here we go. Cindy, if you would please write this up there. 4, open a bracket, 1 minus 2, open a parentheses. Yeah, there we go. X plus 2, close parentheses, close the bracket, equals 4x. All right, you guys take it away.
All right, show me what you know.
Okay, well, first you need to follow PEMDAS, which states that you do the parentheses first. So I would do -2. To get rid of the parentheses, I would put -2 times x. So that would get us -2x. Then do it again for +2. Positive times a negative, or vice versa, is going to equal a negative. And that way we've gotten rid of the parentheses.
Okay.
Now we still need to get rid of the brackets though. So you do the exact same thing. So 4 times 1 would equal 4. 4 times -2 would equal -8. Then 4 times, oh wait,
There you go.
X right there.
I was gonna say, I was
yeah.
waiting.
And then you do the times -4, and that would equal, wait, no, positive 16.
Well, 4 times -4.
Yeah. Okay.
Would that be positive or negative?
Oh wait, oh, I thought that's, okay.
I think you're
Okay,
looking
yeah.
at that negative sign, huh?
What? I don't know.
There we go.
Now we would start by trying to get this to simplify it basically.
Okay.
So you would get +4. And -16, and you would do -8x. And now +4 plus -16 is basically get rid of the negative. 4 minus 16, and that would be 12, and then add back, this one's the larger one, so you would put negative.
Okay.
Okay, so now we already have the number, but we want to get rid of the x on this side. So this is -x, you would have to do the opposite, which is positive 8x.
So you're trying to make it cancel out and go to the other side?
Yeah, so you would just cancel this out, and then positive 8x is going to plus 4x is going to equal 12x. We have negative 12 equals 12x. Now, we want to get rid of this 12 from here. So we would divide this by 12, getting rid of this, and positive 12 divided by negative 12 is going to be negative 1 equals x.
That is some fantastic work right there. And I was going to have you work on another equation, but after having seen how you beautifully explained all that, what do you think I want you to do instead of doing a different one? What should you do when you get to that step? Do you have any idea?
I know.
Now you think it's negative 1, right?
Yeah,
Do you know that it's negative 1?
not sure.
So what do you
Not
think you should?
I should plug in the negative 1.
There you go. So why don't you two go ahead, plug that in,
Check
see if
your
everything
answer.
works, all right?
You got enough room over maybe on that side where you could do it?
Should.
Or do you want to, you know,
Might as well.
like, well, don't erase the red. Don't erase. No, yeah, you could. Okay, so here, let's put it up here. Okay, you got x equals negative 1, so can we go like maybe. Ah, good enough, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So you're going to plug that in, right?
Okay, so instead of this, you would, I'll just rewrite it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
4 bracket 1 minus 2. Now instead of x, you would put negative 1 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, well, we would let you leave one side empty, but you would put just off to the side 4 times negative 1.
Because that's
And
what you want to
that's-
make sure
yeah.
it equals.
And we want to make sure it equals, okay, that was the 2. We want to make sure equals negative 4.
Okay.
So we would start by doing the parentheses. Negative 1 plus 2, that's going to be 1, positive 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what is the 2 right against the parenthesis? What kind of math does that mean?
That means multiplication.
Yeah, so why don't you
do-
make sure you show that these
Oh,
two would
okay.
be multiplied? Okay.
Okay, so negative 2 times 1 would be negative, so negative times a positive is going to equal a negative. So you would do negative 2 and 1. And then you would still put the, I guess that should be brackets, times 4, because we still have to multiply it by 4. So 1 minus 2 is going to equal 1, or 4. So 4 times,
So what's
wait,
1
actually,
minus
go
2?
back to
actually,
1
yeah,
minus 2.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, the 2 has to be first. So this would be 4. Okay, well, probably.
So your 1's really
Rewrite that.
negative 1? Is that what you're
Yeah.
writing? Okay.
In order to make it 1, it would be 2 minus 1. So 4 multiplied by negative 1. Now 4 times negative 1 is going to equal negative 4, and negative 4 equals negative 4.
There you
So
go.
it worked.
See, that way now you know that the answer was x equals to negative 1 because you plugged it in, you checked it. And it's funny because there's a lot of times people at home will be playing along and they'll go, hey, you know, we like to watch the program and play along and see if we can beat the kid doing the problem on air. And sometimes people forget that negative times positive is negative and things like that. And sometimes that stuff can get a little hairy, but you did a beautiful job with that right there.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Liz and Mindy for coming in and talking to us a little bit about COM today. And you know what? Out at COM, they have a Christmas tree lot. This is something brand new. I didn't know that they had this until I went out there the other night. They have a Christmas tree lot, and there's some video of it right now. Trees are 30% off right now out at COM. You do not need a ticket to go to the tree lot though. That's right by the entrance. And if you would like to, if you don't have a Christmas tree, a live one, and would like to go check that out and also benefit CALM, they are 30% off social media and CALM. Any CALM social media sites will have any pricing right now. So that is available for the 30% off whatever types of trees they have out there. You, young man, have done some excellent work today. For your efforts, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at Grill & Burger. So congratulations on that. Yeah, there you go, a little dancing hamburger, ready to be chowed down at any moment. Yeah, that's right. Well, I'll do a little chicken, give me some free food right there. There you go, ain't nothing wrong with that. And you know what else is nothing wrong with? Algebra tiles and how to use them.
Hi, I'm Cece, and we're going to be working with algebra tiles today. But before we get started with our algebra tiles, we're going to talk a little bit about area. So if we have some sort of rectangle, I'm going to go ahead and break it up into some pieces here. And I'm going to say this length here is maybe a 3, this length is a 5. We'll say this is 2 and this is 4. If I were to ask you what the area of this rectangle is, there's a few ways, of course, you could do it. You could go ahead and add the top and say, well, that's 8. You could add the side, and that's 6. So we know length times width, of course, is 48. So we know our area is 48 units squared, and we could say that's our area. But we could also do it this way. I could say, all right, this little portion of it right here is a length of 2, or a length of 3 and a height of 2, so that's 6. This one here is 5 and 2, that gives us 10, an area of 10. This one here is 4 and 3, that's 12. And again here we've got a height of 4 and a length of 5, which gives us 20. If we add that together, 10 plus 20 is 30. We've got 42, and then the area of 48. This is really important because we need to think about area in a few ways, not only the total length and total height times itself, but also that we can do it in portions or pieces, and we can get the same thing. So when we go to our algebra tiles, and we've got 3 different pieces that make up algebra tiles. So we've got this square, and we're going to say this square is a length of x and x. I don't know what the length of this is. It's just going to be a length of x and x because it's square, so our sides have to be equal. Now this one, because it's the same height, we know, of course, it's a height of x, so I know that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to say this is a length of 1 right here. So when we start to put these together, you can see that if I put another piece here that has a length of x, oops, excuse me, sorry, put that in the wrong place, a length of x and a height, got to get them to cooperate, a height of 1. If I were to make a complete rectangle, I need this little square to fill in. And because it's the same height as this, the same length here, I know that is 1 and 1. So what I have here is, if I'm thinking about area, I know this is a length of x and x, so my area there is x squared. I know that I have 2 pieces, but let's just talk about this piece right here. It's a length of 1 and a height of x, so I know the area is 1 times x, or 1x. This is just an x. This is another x, so I have 2 x's. So I know my area there is going to be 2 x's, and then I have this little area here that's 1 times 1, which gives me 1. So I know then that this area is x squared plus 2x plus 1. And I can't combine any of this. That's all it is I have x squared plus 2x plus 1. So I can do this for multiplication in a lot of different ways if I want to, and I say, okay, if I have, let's give ourselves a quick equation. Let's give ourselves 2x plus 1 times something like just x plus 2. So I know that I'm looking for something that has a length of 2x. So there's an x plus 1 more x gives me 2x. Plus 1, a length of 1 right here. Let's make these all the same color. So there's a length of 1 right there. And then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do a height of x plus 2. So I need plus 2 here. But I need to turn this into a full rectangle in order to get proper area. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 2 more there. That's going to fill in as much as I can there. And then I need 2 little squares that will finish out that rectangle. So now I have a length across the top of 2x plus 1 and a height going down of the x plus 2. So if I'm looking at this as a whole, I know that I have an area of, this is an x squared, so I have 2x squared plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's plus 1, 2. Now, of course, I could use distribution, which is something that is also taught or we learn in algebra as well. But if I'm using algebra tiles, this is a nice way to do our multiplication. And of course, we can go ahead and also do some factoring that way. So if I have something along the lines of x squared plus, let's say, 5x plus 6. So if I have something like this and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to factor it. So I need to know what's going to multiply to get me to here. Well, I say, okay, I need an x squared. I need 5 x's. And I need 6 of these little squares. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play around with it for just a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can't figure out how to make a rectangle this way. Now, if I put all of these on this side, well, that's a rectangle, but I haven't used my squares. So what if I put, say, 1 down here, and then I go, okay, well, to make my rectangle then, I would just I would fill in my 4 little squares right there, and I would have a rectangle. But my problem is, of course, now I haven't used these 2. So I need to find a way that I can create a rectangle using all of the pieces and parts that I was given. And here's a nice way to do that. And so I say, okay, I have a length of x. There's 1, 2. Here I have a length of x, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I know that x plus 3 and x plus 2 gives me this beautiful rectangle that has the area that I was looking for. So my factorization looks like this. And of course, I can do this with anything that can be factored. If I'm given something that's factored, I can play around with my rectangles and my algebra tiles and find my perfect rectangle that will give me that area, and I can find the factorization. So that's one way you can use algebra tiles.
A lot of different ways to use some different manipulatives in the classroom. Algebra tiles, just one of those right there. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. Remember, if you want some free passes to Holiday Lights at Com, all you have to do is give us a ring. We do one of your math problems on TV. You are automatically going. Right now we have Dereck, a 6th grade student from Hart Elementary. And you feel pretty good with the equations. So let's move on from there, all right? So here's our first one. 7 quarters are worth how much more than 7 nickels? And there's probably 75 different ways to do this problem, so you do it whatever way you like. So once again, 7 quarters are worth how much more than 7 nickels?
All right, what are you thinking?
So if so each quarter is worth 75 cents or 25 cents.
Okay.
So 7 multiplied by 25, we're just saying that's 25, like 25 cents, not
Right.
0.25 of a dollar. So 7 times 5 is 35, and then 7 times 2 is going to be 14, plus 3 is going to be 17. So 7 quarters. 7 quarters is going to equal 175 cents. Now, a nickel equals 5. Now, 5 cents. So we'll do the same thing, except we'll do 7 multiplied by 5. So 5 times 7 is going to be 35. We would get 175, then 35, then subtract 35 from 175, which would be 140. So 7 quarters is $1.40 more than 7 nickels.
Okay, so you did it just thinking of just cents at first, and then you changed your final answer to dollars and cents.
Yeah.
All right, so there's one other way to do that I did.
I like the way you did it, yeah.
Yeah, so a quarter is worth what?
25 cents.
And a nickel is worth?
5.
So how much more is 1/4 than 1 nickel?
You would do, you would get 20 and then multiply it by 7.
And what's 20 times 7?
140.
So that's just another way to do
Yeah.
it, right? Instead of doing a lot of multiplying, you could just
You
go
just-
25 minus 5 is 20, 20 times 7, and you're done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, good. Like I said, there's like 73 different ways to do that problem, right?
Sure.
All right, clear the board. I've got a brand new one for you. All right. Dereck is playing an online multiplayer puzzle game. You ever play online puzzle games?
Not really,
Yeah,
no.
well, now you do. All right, here we go. You've got a 90% chance of winning, independent of your results on previous matches. If you play 2 matches, what is the percent probability that you win them both? So you have a 90% chance of winning when you play any match, all right? Now, if you play 2, what is the percent probability that you win both of them?
Okay.
So there's some different ways you can tackle this problem, and talk to Cindy about how you might want to start, and if you're kind of stuck, that's what she's there for, all right?
I don't know, but it's like magic. Okay. Tell me what you know about probability. Do you know anything about probability?
Not entirely. I don't.
So let me ask you if you flip a coin, what's the probability it lands on heads?
50%.
Okay. So it's kind of like fractions, right? Half and
Yeah.
half. All right. So they gave us a percentage. So 90% chance of winning for each individual round, and they're like independent from each other. So if you win one, it doesn't have any change, doesn't change anything about the next one, about your chances. And you're going to do 2 matches. And they want the probability as a percentage that you win both. So what's the probability you win the first one?
90%.
Okay. And the probability you win the second one?
90.
Okay. But we want to figure out what's the probability you win both,
Yeah.
right? So it's a little bit different. So, do you know anything about that kind of thing? The 2 just, maybe not, huh?
Well, I guess I can.
What do you think you might do with those percentages?
Well, I guess one thing that I would think, I guess, was just subtracting 90% from 100. So you have a 10% chance of not getting them both, but you have 2 games. So 10% of 10% might be, would be just 1%. So it probably, so then you would maybe just subtract it from 100.
Okay, so you're thinking
So that would get you 99%.
Thinking 99%? All right. So what you're going to do when you're trying to figure out a percentage, a probability of 2 things happening in a row, is you multiply each probability together.
So you would multiply like 0.90 or 0.9 times 0.9.
Yeah, you could do it that way, or you could make 90% into a fraction, or, you know, it just kind of depends on what you prefer to work with. What do you prefer, decimals, fractions?
I would just do decimals. So
Okay. So you're saying 0.9 because you're changing the percentage to its decimal
yeah,
form.
you could put 0.90, but it's easier to just simplify it
All right.
into 0.9 times 0.9. So 9 times 9 is going to be 81. And now, so we have 2, well, that's two ways, or like, you know.
2 decimal places.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you go 1, 2. Then you've got 0.81 and 0.81 is in a
Percentage?
yeah, would equal 81%.
There you go, nicely done. So we got
Oh,
81%.
sorry.
So he didn't do fractions where it was 9 over 10 and multiply both of those. He just went straight to the decimals and did 9/10 times 9/10. So the percent probability of you winning both of those is 81%. Kind of makes sense a little bit?
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad you guys were able to talk your way through that one right there. Hey, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30 right now to check out another one of these system schools in the CSU system.
Welcome to Cal State Fullerton, where Titans achieve greatness with resilience, empowerment, and opportunity. Since 1957, our campus has evolved to meet the community's needs with accessible, inclusive, and high-impact education. Cal State Fullerton is an economic and cultural center of Orange County with nearly 40,000 students and more than 300,000 alums. We train thousands of nurses, teachers, engineers, and accountants, and are a major economic driver in the state, powering $2.26 billion in economic activity. Our connections go beyond the classroom. Supportive mentors and industry leaders help student entrepreneurs like Brian Roof create a cloud-based disaster relief software.
Cal State Fullerton has been a huge part of me becoming an entrepreneur and furthering the growth of my business. The faculty here truly wants what's best for us. I'm incredibly fortunate that I've been able to work with this university, and they've been able to help and support me. Traditionally, a computer science student would never get exposure to the business world.
It's been a really cool experience to be able to get this knowledge through Cal State Fullerton.
More than 300 clubs and organizations allow Titans to grow and develop their identities with support and resources from Student Life and Leadership, ASI, and Diversity Initiatives Resource Centers. Programs like Black Community support underrepresented students like Alexis Johnson Folks, who find support from others facing similar challenges.
When I got immersed in all of the, Black support groups here, especially Black community, I felt more motivated to do schoolwork, motivated to, step up, take charge, be resilient. Because when I'm around people that look like me, I feel like motivated. I'm thriving off of them. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this together. We're going through the same struggles. Black community came in, wrapped me up, and we're going far, baby.
Our 8 colleges create opportunities for students to have an accessible education with intellectually rigorous programs with renowned faculty relevant to the needs of students. We eradicated the digital divide by providing technology services designed to ensure student success. And the experience extends beyond the classroom. Uniquely tucked between some of the most beautiful beaches in the world and the snow-capped San Gabriel Mountains, Orange County's vibrant location safely allows students to explore their passion, which will become their life work. Also, our 26-acre Fullerton Arboretum provides a place for students to explore and learn in nature. From California condors to microplastics in the Pacific to Alzheimer's research, Titans solve real-world problems. Immersive learning provides experiences for students like Evelyn Bond to create an impactful future.
I had no idea you can conduct research as an undergraduate student. And even more beyond that, I really didn't know what research was. I learned about the Southern California Ecosystems Research Program. I dove right into an intensive 3-week summer research course, and it was never ending from there. But within a year of being in that program, I actually felt like a scientist. And it was all the resources that they provided to me, talking to me, helping me figure things out, critical thinking. The most amazing thing that I got from here was self-confidence.
College career specialists help Titans explore, engage, and build their professional network. As a first-generation forward institution, Cal State Fullerton eliminates barriers to graduation with scholarships, success centers, hands-on advising, student emergency funds, and mental health resources. Kimberly Cruz speaks about her experience in the Abrego Scholarship, which provides resources for first-gen students.
I wouldn't have graduated if it weren't for the Abrego Future Scholars Program, and I definitely hope that they continue to mentor, especially first-gen and students of color, because we need more representation, and they opened up their doors. It wasn't just mentorship, but it was also love, it was also support, and it was also just knowing that I had someone to rely on We come from humble beginnings. My parents immigrated from El Salvador to come here for a better life, and now they can have the honor to say that they have 3 children as university graduates.
Our recently concluded $270 million campaign will continue to pay dividends into the future, guided by a strategic plan that is integrated with the voices, ideas, and wisdom of our campus community. Cal State Fullerton is not transactional. It is transformational. Whether you're a traditional or non-traditional student, Titans evolve together to contribute and solve real-world problems. Empower yourself, empower others. Fullerton.edu.
There we go, home of the Titans, Cal State Fullerton right there. Dereck is a 6th grade student from Hart Elementary working on a variety of different problems. So you ready for the next one? Here we go. All right, Cindy, be ready to write. The scores for a math competition were 14, 19, 22, 9, 17, 15, 22, 30, 2, and 8. Now, the question says, what is the absolute difference between the median and the range of those scores? So first of all, we need to see if Dereck is familiar with median and range.
I'm familiar with the median, but not the range.
Okay.
All right, well, you guys go at it.
All right, so since you're familiar with the median, let's start with that. What do you got to do to find the median?
To get the median, you have to put all the numbers in order first.
Okay.
From least to greatest.
All right.
Or greatest to least. I don't think it matters so much.
Yeah, it just has to be in order. So let's do that.
So-
So what's the smallest? So you might want to start over here because there's a lot of numbers.
No, would go
I start to run out
2,
of room.
then 8. Wait.
2, 8. You can cross them off as you go on the top row if that helps you keep track.
Then 9.
Okay.
Wait, no, 14. 15. 17. 19. And then we have 2 22s. And then a 30.
Okay.
So you would try to find like the middle. So you would just cross this one off and cross that one off. This one, that one, this one, that one, this one, that one. And but this is an even amount of numbers, so we're not gonna have the one in the middle. So we have 17 and 15. Now you would just find the mean, the mean of them.
The median
Now-
of them.
Yeah. So in order to get that, so this is 2. We have two numbers. So we would add 15 and 17, and you would get 32. And then just divide that by 2, you would get 16.
All right, so the median is 16, which makes sense because 15 and
Yeah,
17,
15,
16 is right in the middle
yeah.
there. Okay, so you got the median. So here's the range. The range is the largest number and the smallest number, and you subtract them.
So going back here, this is a 2, and this is 30. So subtracting 2 from 30 would get you 28.
Okay, so we have our range, we have our median, and the question asks for?
The absolute difference between the two.
So the absolute difference is like it doesn't include like decimals or no, not decimal, integers.
Yeah, so it's not
like,
negative.
Not negative. Like even if this is a negative, it'd just be positive 28 minus positive 16. So 28 minus 16 would be 12. So 12 is the absolute value. They're absolutely different, sir.
difference.
Yeah.
Nicely done. So I've got a question for you because I saw how you went about getting the median was 16. And you properly added 15 and 17 because sometimes they're not going to be right next to each other.
Right.
Because you could have like 15 and 19 or something like that. So what you did was good. But you also see how 15 and 17, there's only one thing between it, right? It's 16?
Yeah.
And I like how you did the one off the front, one off the back, one off the front, one off the back. But let's say you had a list of 200 numbers. Would that be something easy to do, or can you guys think of a strategy that might make that a little bit easier?
Well, you could probably get half of 200, and then you would just go from, for example, this number, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it would be a bit faster, but it's not quite.
Good. Well, I just wanted you to think of some other strategies.
And
so
if you had to put 200 numbers in order, yikes.
Well, if you have
Maybe you have a lot of
take care of
repeat.
it for you, then you can easily put those numbers in order right there. All right, you know what? We're going to check out how the tides work right now.
What causes tides? If you've ever spent a day at the beach, you've probably noticed that the ocean water is constantly moving. Waves cause the ocean to move all day long, and tides cause the ocean to rise and fall twice each day. The water's highest point is called high tide. The water's lowest point is called low tide. Plants, animals, and humans living near the ocean rely on this predictable rising and falling of the ocean each day. But what exactly causes high tides and low tides? The moon. That's right, the moon is the main cause of tides in Earth's oceans. The moon and Earth both have gravity, the force by which a planet or other body draws objects toward its center. The force of gravity keeps all of the planets in orbit around the sun, and Earth's gravity keeps the moon in orbit around Earth. The moon is a smaller object than Earth, so its force of gravity is weaker. But since the moon is so close, the pull of its gravity is still significant. As the moon's gravity pulls on Earth's water, the water bulges in the direction of the moon. This is due to something called the tidal force. Because of this tidal force, Earth's water on the side of the moon always wants to bulge out toward the moon. This bulge is what we call a high tide. As your part of Earth rotates into this bulge of water, you might experience a high tide. That explains the first high tide each day, but what explains the second high tide? This is where things get a little tricky. As we mentioned earlier, when the moon's gravity pulls on one side of Earth, it creates a tidal bulge toward the moon. But the tidal force actually affects the whole planet, not just one side of Earth. The total effect of the tidal force is that Earth experiences a squeeze, which causes the water to bulge on two sides. These two bulges explain why in one day there are two high tides. Earth's surface rotates through each of the bulges once a day. As Earth's climate warms and oceans rise, high tides are becoming higher. Sometimes this leads to flooding in communities near the coasts. High tide flooding happens when tides are approximately 2 feet above the average high tide. This is when ocean water starts spilling onto streets or bubbling up from storm drains. Scientists use information from many sources, including NOAA's GOES-R series weather satellites, to study these high tide floods. Coastal communities can use this information to better plan for the effects of rising tides in the future. Find out more about Earth's weather at NOAA SciJinx.
Always interesting to learn exactly how the two tides happen in one day. You ready for one more? All right, here we go. What percent of 25 is 8? So what percent of 25 is 8?
you ready? What do you know about percents?
I know percents. Okay, well, so we're trying to get a percent of 25. So in order to get that, we would probably divide 8 by 25.
Okay.
And the result, whatever decimal or whatever we get, would be the percent.
Okay, so let me ask you if you've ever done it a different way, just because decimals are kind of sometimes long in division.
Not that
What
I
does
remember.
percent mean? How many does it mean out of?
Percent? Well, it means, so like for example, 25% would be like 1/4 of.
So 25 out of, like 25% means 25 out of what? Like, what does the word cent mean? How many cents are in a dollar?
Out of like 1, out of.
Well, how many cents are in $1?
100.
How many pennies are there in $1?
100.
Yeah, so the word cent means 100. So when they say a percentage, they're saying something out of 100. So this is kind of saying, how much out of 100 is the same as 8 out of 25? So like if it was a test and you got 8 out of 25, what would your percent be? So what do you notice about 25 going over and becoming 100? What could you multiply it by?
Well, 25 to get 100 would be 25 times 4, and we could multiply, and we would have to multiply the same thing on both sides.
Okay, so go ahead and do that.
So if we did times 4 on this side, we'd have to do times 4 on this side, which would equal 32. So in this case, x would equal 32. And 32 over 100 equals 0.32, which also equals 32%.
All right, so we could do a division like you said, because that's kind of like what this says, right? 8 over 25 is like 8 divided by 25. And you would probably get the 0.32.
Yeah.
And then you also get 32%. So that's just a different way of just showing you a different way to think of it.
I was going to say, it's like a whole little mini lesson you did right there with fractions, decimals, percents, put all three of those together right there. So nicely done. So come on over here, young man. I've got a couple of questions for you. So here's another way to kind of estimate that, right? Because we know it's 32%, right? How many times will 8 go into 25 without going over?
3.
3 times, right? Because we can go
Yeah.
8, 16, 24, right? If we had a third, right? Because 8 is 1/3 of that, right? What is 1/3 of 100? Do you know what that is offhand?
Well, that would be like 1.
So 1/3 out of 100. Because
Like-
1/4 would be 25.
In percent,
Or decimal or anything. Because about how many would it be?
like 0.3, but then it's like 0.3333.
Right, so it would be
Yeah.
33, right?
Yeah.
Isn't 33 and 32 very close?
Mhm.
There you go. So that's one way to kind of estimate it, right? You're like, I need a third of 25. That's 8. It's 33%. The answer is 32. Did you learn a little something today?
Mhm.
Good. I'm glad you did. Did you have fun today?
Yeah.
That's the thing right there. And I'm especially glad that you wore your Do the Math shirt, because you are able to come with us when we do our Science for Current activities also, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm glad you're part of that also. Until we meet again in 2024, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and the Kern High School District. With additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.